Hi, sixth grade. Hope you guys are doing well. And this is me on Friday afternoon before going home, but you're going to be watching this Monday. So it's like we're in some kind of weird time state. So have a good weekend, but also happy Monday when you watch this. Okay. So, two things before we hop into our lesson for the day. I wanted to say thank you for Thursday/yesterday for adjusting to that different schedule that we tried out as a new method to try to get new for our school. I know you guys are new to us, but try to get ISATs taken care of in the most efficient way possible. So we appreciate you adjusting to that pretty well and for trying your best on the test. Hey, that rhymes. We'll do that a few more times this year. And we always strive in ISAT days and tests like that to certainly take it seriously and give it your very best, but also don't stress, which also kind of rhymes. It's a near rhyme. So also, I was just thinking about some social skills to review with you. We talked about this one not too long ago, but this is one that I care enough about that I want to make some posters, put on the wall. It needs to be a part of what we do here at WTMS is our building skills. Okay, so remember, communication and mindset is key when you're trying to think win-win and deal with others. And we got to avoid two different types of conversation or communication or attitudes. That's the passive type, which is kind of like a doormat, right? Where you just don't say much, or you allow other people to walk all over you a little bit. And then the opposite of that is aggressiveness, where you don't care what the other people's feelings are. You go confront, you go yell, you don't just say, "I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to not care about their feelings at all." That's not the way to do it either. Okay, assertiveness, which is right there in the middle, is this area of you're clear about what you want, sure, but you're also cognizant of what other people want and not to be yelled at and not to be demeaned is one big thing that people want. So assertiveness is saying, this is clearly what I'm telling you. This is not okay, or this is how I feel about that. But you're going to do it in such a way that you don't completely make them upset, or you also give them time to speak as well. So people that are assertive communicators, which is a skill that even some adults, including myself, struggle with from time to time. This is the place to be, y'all. All right. So we need to congratulate some students of the week first. I believe I've forgotten to do this a time or two recently, so sorry about that, y'all. I know your teachers are talking to you about it. Kenna Moore, congrats on being an ELA Student of the Month. Paisley Castorina, I'm going to flash this at you and tell you congratulations for being Math Student of the Month. Frankie Reyes, Science, cool. Mrs. Coleman shouting out to Frankie. Asher Cross, Social Studies, and Caden Nolf for Reading. Good job, guys. And then Rihanna Schmidt, an outstanding Fitness for Life or PE student. Great job, all you guys that are working hard in the classroom. We actually are going to start talking about habit 6 today. You guys are cruising through this stuff. We're going to make sure we get through it with plenty of time left in the year, maybe do a few other things at the end. So before we start dipping our toe into habit 6, I wanted to talk to you about habits 1 through 5. I can't really show you in this context because I have such a little thing here, but I want you to remember that habits, if you build those, they become almost like a reaction and instinct. If you build those over time, you say, this is what I'm going to do every time that this happens. Okay. When you have those good habits, they're like daily practices. It made me think earlier this year of football way back when as a coach or a player, you have to maybe guard this particular route. I know some of you guys don't know football, but just I'll tell this story quickly. Okay. And this is called a post corner. And my most experience in football was being a defensive back that was supposed to prevent this dude from catching the ball. Post corner is a tough route. They run you off vertically, and then they try to get you to open your hips this way and go back the other way. Little zigzag, right? And if you open your hips the wrong way, you're beat. Okay. And I remember coaching a kid who struggled with that. And he would open the wrong way, and then it'd be a touchdown. And habits. He worked on it. And then in a big game, the kid tried to run a route. He turned the right way because he had built a good habit, and he ended up intercepting this pass. All right. So, yes, that's a physical habit, but you can do that in your daily lives when you're faced with different things. Okay. So remember that habits, daily practices that eventually become instinct. A couple terms that you should always be aware of as we talk about the 7 habits this year: paradigms. changing your habits and even your words and actions in a more positive, effective way won't happen if you have a flawed pair of glasses on, a flawed paradigm. Okay, if you think school is bad or everyone's out to get me. Okay, so you may need to rub those off, take off those glasses and put on a new paradigm. And remember to center your life on your values or principles, who you are, and then it's going to be a lot easier to make sure these habits are okay. Habit 1, your circle of control. Okay, focus on what you can control. Be proactive. You are the driver of your life. Try to avoid all the outside noise and just say, me, my attitude, my effort, my words are what I can serve, what I can control. Other people, don't let it stress you out. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Know where you're going, know your destination. Again, if you know your values and what person you want to be or kind of person you want to be down the road, it will help you make those good decisions in the day-to-day time that you have. Speaking of the day-to-day time, once you know what your end destination is, you better make time for your big rocks. Remember when we watched that video putting in the big rocks first and then there was room for more? But if you let time wasters get in there first, you might struggle. We talked about time management, focusing early on the things that are important to you. All right. We've gotten into the public victory now, habit 4, with kind of what we talked about with mindset of aggressiveness versus passivity, or then we have assertiveness. And then habit 4 lets us know it's not always about, hey, I got to win so they can lose. Sometimes we can all win. We just finished with habit 5. Listening first, knowing that if your mouth's moving, you may not really be learning anything new. Okay. So what you want to do is always seek to understand other people's viewpoint. Make sure on the back end of that you are being heard yourself. Okay. But if you're always just kind of talking and never really hearing anybody, including your parents, you may be missing out on a lot. Which brings us to habit 6. Oh, I forgot to change the year on that slide. I apologize. You guys are probably so mad at me right now. If any of you guys are watching on Monday morning, hope you are. Habit 6, synergy, is when things work so well together that you're like a flying V of geese right there, where each of those people in formation are making the job of flying that much easier. All right. This is the highest form of teamwork. If you are synergizing, look at this. Geese in a flock fly 71% farther than if they were alone. Sometimes we do need alone time, but in life, we're social creatures. You can do so much more with the help of others. All right. Here's some quotes from the Coveys, father and son and father. 2 more people work together to create a better solution. When properly understood, synergy is the highest activity in all life. One of the things that Sean says in his book is synergy is when 1 + 1 = 3. Okay. I know I've told you before that I'm bad at math. I'm not that bad at math. 1 + 1 = 3. But what we're saying is it's not compromise. It's saying that we're coming up with, hey, what's your way? What's my way? What's this better way that incorporates the best of all of us? Okay. And if you've ever been on a true, real solid team or a choir or any group, you can sometimes feel that when a group is more than the sum of its parts. And that's a phrase that just means it's taking the best of everybody and adding up to something pretty wonderful. We'll get more into synergy. We have several lessons about this coming up, but we have to start talking about the foundation of synergy, which is your paradigm. Let's go back to that real fast. Remember our glasses, and it's your paradigm of other people, specifically people that may sound or look differently than you in some way. So we're going to talk about some things on Earth. How many people currently live on Earth? If we were in person, I would have you shout out some answers. I certainly hope that the answer is on my screen because otherwise I wouldn't remember. So how many people on Earth? It is on there. Cool. With a little duct tape. This is fun. Who made this? I think I made it. Cool. 7.442 billion, which is a lot. It's more than 4. That's for sure. More than American Falls. So that's probably more than that. So lots of people. I'm a word person. I'm a language person. That many people is not something I can even fathom. Okay, especially for people like us who hang out in the small towns. So what a crazy number. But we do have some things in common. Okay, whether it's people that live far away from us, even within our country, people in New York City versus maybe even people throughout the world. There's people in the world today that have never even seen a cell phone, which is kind of crazy. So let's hold that thought for differences and talk about what we have in common. Well, we all age. Okay, this is a picture from a poem, or actually, it's not really a poem, but talking about the 7 ages of man. Okay, we all go from being a baby to toddler to a tween to like maybe we're right here, you guys, and then this is me over here. Okay, so no matter if you're male, female, no matter anything else, you're going to go through that aging process. What else? We have the same biological needs, the hierarchy of needs. We need food and water, but we also need people and love and belongingness and to feel like we have a purpose on this earth. What else do we have in common? Well, that's about it. We go through life. We want to be loved. We want to have our security and other needs met. But there are some things that could potentially deny us. Look at this. More numbers that are just mind-boggling. That many languages on the planet right now, with different variations of dialects and such. Okay, I could probably name 20, 30 languages, but there's that many. And then 195 countries. And I think sometimes in the US, and we just maybe get a little too centered on ourselves, but 195 countries, how many can you name? Me, 30, 40, maybe tops. Okay, so literal boundaries and language barriers, those are things that could potentially divide us. They don't need to, but they could. Sometimes skin color has been traditionally a way that divides people. Certainly shouldn't, but it is reality that it has before. People have different religions, and sure, that should be their right to do that and shouldn't cause divisions, but it has over time. Look up the Crusades, look up so many different the schism that happened in England and some of their problems. So religion could potentially divide us. Our money or class. So you over here, which I don't know if that's a picture of me. Most people in American Falls are going to be hanging out in this area, okay, and that's fine. Doesn't mean they're better or worse, but there are some monopoly men out there that just make amounts of money that none of us could fathom. So that doesn't mean they're better or worse, but those things could divide us. And then your gender or sexual orientation, that could divide us as well. All right, so we have a lot in common. Oh, and age. Ever feel like old and young, we don't get along much? If you've ever felt like, what's wrong with my parents? They're so old, I don't get them. And then politically, that's definitely something that shouldn't. I've talked to you before about how it has, and we've become a little bit more tribal in our modern world, but you guys can fix that. So those are things that could divide us, but let's talk about you. This is your diversity profile. We don't have the book, and I won't read the quote to you, but I want you to figure out, when you see people that look or sound or act differently than you, are you a shunner, a tolerator, or a celebrator? Let's find out, shall we? A shunner, like Dwight Schrute over there, when you shun somebody, you don't want them around you. Okay? You're afraid of those differences. You're convinced that your way is better than theirs. I don't know why you're convinced of that, potentially from parents or different people, but and certainly you have your values. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do that. But why are you just judging other people for not having the same? So shunners can lead to hatred of entire groups of people. There's people in America, I guarantee you there's people in American Falls that when they think of gay people, okay, Muslim people, even white, blonde women, whatever, they put them in this big lump and they're afraid of them, they judge them, and they may even hate them. And that can be such a destructive emotion. And that's where it starts, is when you say, I'm going to shun that, I'm better than them in some way, okay? So, to quote Yoda, don't be afraid of people that look differently than you or act differently, because I'm not going to do a Yoda voice, but here it is. Fear is the path of the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Okay? And so I think that it's not that we have to be super brave and not afraid all the time, but that's the pathway you're going down when you're saying, oh, well, what about that guy? He just moved in. He looks differently than me. Watch out for that. Very dangerous. I don't know why there's a white screen. Oh, that's the Grinch. This is what happens when I make things and don't review them. Hate, I think this is what I was going for, is hate has an impact on you. It makes you a smaller person. I hope, and I honestly don't think I've ever hated groups of people, but I've hated individuals just once or twice in my life. And it's a corrosive feeling for you. It makes your heart smaller. And then it has a huge impact on other people. This is a photograph of a slave in the United States that was whipped that many times. And so that's the way that his back looks. I know Miss Benj was talking to you guys about the Holocaust Day of Remembrance. So when you fear others that are different, it starts leading to more and more hate and violence and just some of the worst things that have ever happened. And I don't remember exactly where I got that graph, but it's meant to show that hate crimes and hatred of others that are different than you is on the rise in the world and in America. And I hope it's not going to be with you guys. Okay. So just remember, no need to be afraid of people that are different than you. And if someone has told you this group, whatever it is, as a whole group, that's a stereotype, that's prejudice, and reject that. And even if it's from your parents, sometimes they're wrong, and you need to learn that people are just people. All right. We have those things that make us the same. Next up, tolerate. If you say, I don't hate anybody, they can be what they want to be as long as they're not around me or whatever. That's kind of a lukewarm response to that. You're saying, okay, I tolerate you, you're fine. But what you're really saying is you're not going to be able to work with those people. Okay, you may be missing out on some of the stuff that they could bring to the table. Better than hatred, but you're in a slippery slope there in the middle. What we're hoping for is celebrators of difference in people around you. So that is an opportunity. Say that word with me, kids. Opportunity. I said it weird. Let's say it normal. Opportunity to learn something new, to have some creativity, some just different viewpoints. I'll tell you briefly my own experience. My small town in Oregon is pretty small, a little smaller than American Falls actually, and pretty uniform and heterogeneous. Why do I try to say big words when I'm tired? I'm sorry, guys. People look the same there. Not a lot of diversity. And that's fine, but it was kind of boring. I remember the first place I taught was close to that area, and it was kind of the same way. I had students that all kind of looked and acted the same and dressed the same, and they were good people, but we lacked something, okay? And so coming back into Idaho and to our community and spending some time in Pocatello, we got people from different backgrounds. And I love that, okay? And if you know that people grew up in a different country, I got to the point for sure when I was teaching other people when they said I didn't grow up in Idaho, that instantly, man, I am tired, instantly made the person more interesting to me because I felt like they could add something new to my experience, all right? So just reflect on this quote. Hopefully you know who Helen Keller is, who knows a little thing about being different and pain. But she said, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much, which is pretty cool. So I would just review with you as we start getting towards synergy is how do you view the people that are different from you? Okay, when they come into your life, make sure you're not afraid of them. Okay, embrace them and see it for the opportunity it is to get to know more about that person, their culture, their background, and to honor them and who they are, and to never judge and certainly never to hate. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Let me turn this thing off. I think it was a little longer than normal. Sorry about that. And again, have a good weekend / happy Monday morning. Hope to see you in person soon. Later.